There are stadiums where legends are born, and there are nights when legends become immortal. For more than a century, this stadium has witnessed kings, conquerors, and legends. But tonight, it is about to witness something no one believed possible. Among 22 footballers, only one would leave this stadium, having changed football history forever. His name was Ronaldo de Assis Moreira, but the world would remember him by another name, Ronaldinho. He didn't play football the way others did. He didn't chase perfection, he chased joy. Some players outran defenders, others outmuscled them. Ronaldinho simply made them disappear. For a single heartbeat, 80,000 voices fell silent. Then, football witnessed the impossible. The goal was unforgettable, but what happened next had never happened before. The home of Real Madrid rose to its feet for a Barcelona player. Every legend has a beginning. But this story didn't begin beneath stadium lights. It began thousands of kilometers away, where football wasn't played for glory, it was played for joy. In Porto Alegre, football wasn't reserved for stadiums. It belonged to the streets, to dusty roads, to every child who dreamed with a ball at their feet. Among those children, there was one who never seemed to chase the ball, because somehow the ball always found him. His name was Ronaldo de Assis Moreira. Long before the world called him Ronaldinho, he was simply a little boy who smiled every time the ball touched his feet. For many children, football begins with a ball. For Ronaldinho, it began with his father. There were no expensive academies, no perfect pitches, no crowds to impress. Only a father, a son, and a football that became their language. Some children learned football. Ronaldinho played with it. Even before anyone knew his name, the ball already seemed to obey him. In the Moreira family, football wasn't just a game. It echoed through every room, every conversation, every dream. Before the world became Ronaldinho's audience, he was simply a little brother, watching his hero. Some children played football after school. Ronaldinho played every chance he could, morning, afternoon, until the sun disappeared. At first, he was simply another boy on the street, but it didn't take long for the neighborhood to realize this child could do things with a football they had never seen before. Soon, the younger children were no longer enough. Ronaldinho wanted a greater challenge, so he began playing against boys much older than himself. They expected an easy game. Instead, they found a magician. Word spread quickly. There was a little boy who played without fear, without pressure, and with a smile that never disappeared. It wasn't long before people beyond the neighborhood began asking the same question: who is this child? Every journey begins with a single dream. Though Ronaldinho didn't yet know where football would take him, the streets of Porto Alegre had already shaped the player he was becoming. Soon, those dusty roads would lead him to something far greater, the first real step toward a dream that would one day inspire the world. Talent can be discovered anywhere, but it still needs an opportunity. As Ronaldinho's remarkable ability became impossible to ignore, the streets that had shaped him could no longer contain his future. For the first time, football had rules, coaches, training drills, teams, but Ronaldinho still played the only way he knew how, with freedom, with imagination, and always with a smile. It didn't take long before people started talking about the smiling boy with the impossible touch. Coaches spoke to one another. Parents whispered from the sidelines. Every training session seemed to end the same way. Everyone wanted to watch Ronaldinho. Then everything changed. When Ronaldinho was only 8 years old, his father, João de Assis Moreira, passed away suddenly. The man who had first placed a football at his feet was gone. The joy of childhood was suddenly mixed with heartbreak. But even in grief, football remained the place where Ronaldinho felt closest to his father. The loss never truly disappeared, but neither did the dream. Every touch of the football, every training session, every smile, became a way of honoring the man who first believed in him. From that moment on, Ronaldinho wasn't playing only for himself. Talent opens doors, but someone still has to walk through them. As Ronaldinho continued to grow, his extraordinary ability earned him an opportunity at Grêmio, one of Brazil's most respected football clubs. The streets of Porto Alegre had shaped his imagination. Now, a new stage would shape his future. At Grêmio, Ronaldinho quickly discovered that talent alone wasn't enough. Every child dreamed of becoming a professional footballer, but even among the academy's brightest young players, there was something different about the smiling boy from Porto Alegre. His imagination couldn't be coached, it simply belonged to him. Some young players competed with fear, others played to impress, but Ronaldinho played for a different reason. He played because football made him happy. That joy became contagious, lifting teammates, winning over coaches, and reminding everyone that football was meant to be fun. Great coaches don't just recognize talent, they recognize potential. Day after day, Ronaldinho continued to play with imagination, humility, and joy. Soon, one coach made a quiet decision. This boy deserved greater opportunities. With every passing month, Ronaldinho's confidence grew, not because he wanted to be better than everyone else, but because every day, the football seemed to become part of him. His creativity, his balance, his smile were becoming impossible to ignore. News began to spread beyond the academy. There was a young boy at Grêmio who played football with imagination, as if the ball obeyed every thought. Coaches talked about him, parents talked about him. Soon, the entire academy knew his name. By now, Ronaldinho was no longer just another academy player. His performances were becoming impossible to ignore. Opponents remembered him, coaches recommended him, and whispers of an extraordinary young talent began spreading far beyond Porto Alegre. Every great football nation is always searching for its next generation. By the late 1980s, Ronaldinho was becoming one of the brightest young players in southern Brazil. His gift wasn't measured only by goals. It was the joy, the creativity, and the freedom with which he played. People were beginning to believe that Brazil had discovered someone special. Every young Brazilian footballer dreams of one moment, the chance to represent their country. Years of hard work, joy, sacrifice, and endless hours with the ball were opening doors Ronaldinho had once only imagined. The smiling boy from Porto Alegre was now taking his first steps toward Brazil. For the first time, Ronaldinho wasn't only representing himself or Grêmio, he was representing Brazil. The yellow shirt carried history, expectation, and responsibility. But when the ball reached his feet, he forgot all of that and simply played the game he loved. Most young players celebrated after scoring. Ronaldinho smiled before the goal even arrived. For him, football wasn't a job. It wasn't pressure. It was happiness. Every touch, every pass, every dribble was an expression of pure joy. And that joy was beginning to change everyone around him. By the mid-1990s, Ronaldinho was no longer simply a promising young player. He had become one of Brazil's brightest football prospects. Every training session, every match brought new expectations, but Ronaldinho never changed. He still played with the same smile, the same freedom, and the same love for the game that had begun on the dusty streets of Porto Alegre. Every academy player dreams of one moment, the day the first team finally calls your name. For Ronaldinho, that moment had been years in the making. The smiling boy who once chased a worn leather football through the streets of Porto Alegre was now standing on the edge of professional football. The pace was faster, the tackles were stronger, the expectations were higher. For the first time, Ronaldinho trained alongside seasoned professionals. Many wondered whether the teenager could keep up. It didn't take long to find the answer. Every footballer remembers one day, the day they stop dreaming and start living the dream. After years of sacrifice, Ronaldinho's moment had finally arrived. The boy who once played barefoot on the streets of Porto Alegre was now stepping onto the pitch as a professional footballer for Grêmio. Making your debut is one thing, making people remember it is something else entirely. Ronaldinho needed only a few touches to remind everyone that football could still be beautiful. He played without fear, without hesitation, and always with imagination. Brazil had discovered a new kind of talent. Some moments introduce a player, others create a legend. In 1999, against Grêmio's greatest rivals, Ronaldinho produced a moment that Brazil would never forget. One touch, one feint, one unforgettable finish, and suddenly, everyone knew his name. One unforgettable goal was enough to change everything. Across Europe, scouts began asking the same question. Who is Ronaldinho? The smiling teenager from Porto Alegre was no longer Brazil's secret. He had become one of world football's most exciting young talents. Success attracts attention. Greatness attracts opportunity. Across Europe, clubs were searching for football's next superstar. Again and again, one name appeared on every report, Ronaldinho. Soon, one club decided they could wait no longer. Leaving home is never easy, especially when your dreams have always lived there. But every great journey demands a leap into the unknown. In 2001, Ronaldinho left Brazil, not to leave his roots behind, but to share his football with the world. His destination, Paris. Paris was different. A new language, a new culture, a new style of football. Everything was unfamiliar. Everything except the ball. No matter where he went, Ronaldinho still played with the same smile, the same imagination, and the same joy that first appeared on the streets of Porto Alegre. Football is played in every country, but only a few players can make an entire stadium smile. In Paris, Ronaldinho wasn't just winning matches, he was winning hearts. Every flick, every dribble, every impossible pass reminded people that football could still be art. For every Brazilian child, there is one dream greater than all the others: to wear the famous yellow shirt at the FIFA World Cup. In 2002, that dream became reality. Ronaldinho joined Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and a generation determined to restore Brazil to the top of world football. Brazil arrived in Asia carrying enormous expectations. The world watched with curiosity. Could Ronaldo return from injury? Would Rivaldo lead the attack? And who was the smiling young magician beside them? Together, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho formed one of football's most unforgettable attacking trios. History would remember them simply as the 3 R's. The waiting was over. The FIFA World Cup had begun. Millions watched from every corner of the globe as Brazil stepped onto football's biggest stage once again. For Ronaldinho, it was his first World Cup. He wasn't there to replace legends. He was there to write his own story. With every match, Ronaldinho grew stronger. The pressure of the World Cup no longer felt overwhelming. He played with freedom, with courage, and with the same imagination that had amazed coaches back in Porto Alegre. The world was beginning to understand Brazil had found its newest magician. Every World Cup has one match that defines a generation. For Brazil, that match was England. A team filled with stars, David Beckham, Michael Owen, Paul Scholes, Sol Campbell, Rio Ferdinand, against Brazil's own footballing giants. The world stopped to watch. Some goals are celebrated, others are remembered forever. With Brazil trailing no longer, Ronaldinho stood over the ball nearly 40 yards from goal. Everyone expected a cross. Everyone except one man. In a single, breathtaking moment, he changed football history. Football has a way of testing every hero. Only minutes after creating one of the greatest goals in World Cup history, Ronaldinho's afternoon changed completely. A mistimed challenge, a red card. His World Cup quarterfinal was over. All he could do now was believe in his teammates. Great teams are measured not only by their stars, but by their unity. Suspended for the semifinal, Ronaldinho could only watch, hoping his teammates would finish the journey. They did. Brazil defeated Turkey, and the dream was alive. One match remained, one final step to football immortality. For generations, Brazil had measured greatness by one thing: World Cups. On the 30th of June, 2002, in Yokohama, Japan, 90 minutes separated Brazil from history. Across the world, millions watched. For Ronaldinho, this was the dream that had begun with a worn leather football on the dusty streets of Porto Alegre. The boy who once dreamed beneath the Brazilian sun had reached the summit of world football. But for Ronaldinho, the greatest individual chapter was still to come. A World Cup winner, a global superstar, yet Ronaldinho's greatest club journey was only beginning. In the summer of 2003, one of football's biggest clubs came calling: Barcelona, a sleeping giant searching for hope. They believed one smiling Brazilian could bring the joy back. Barcelona needed a hero. They had just found one. Barcelona had signed a World Cup winner, but trophies were not guaranteed. The club had endured difficult years. Supporters longed for hope, for joy, for someone who could make them dream again. On his first night at Camp Nou, Ronaldinho gave them exactly that. One spectacular goal became something much bigger. It became belief. Week after week, Ronaldinho filled Camp Nou with smiles. He played without fear, without limits, and with the joy of a child who never forgot where he came from. Barcelona wasn't just winning again, it was falling in love with football again. Barcelona had found its identity again, but one challenge remained above all others: Real Madrid. There are football matches, and then there is El Clásico, Barcelona against Real Madrid. More than a rivalry, it is history, identity, and pride. For Ronaldinho, this would be his greatest stage yet. Some matches decide championships, others create legends. Some performances win matches, others win respect. On the 19th of November, 2005, inside the Santiago Bernabéu, Ronaldinho delivered a performance that football would never forget. Even rival supporters could only admire greatness. On that night, Ronaldinho did more than defeat Real Madrid. He earned the respect of football itself. Respect from your rivals, admiration from your teammates, love from millions of supporters. There was now little doubt. Ronaldinho wasn't simply entertaining football, he was defining it. In 2005, the football world recognized what fans had already known. Ronaldinho was the best player on earth. For many, this was the destination. For Ronaldinho, it was only another reason to keep playing with joy. The greatest players win matches. The greatest teams change football. Under Frank Rijkaard, Barcelona became more than successful. It became beautiful. Every pass had purpose. Every movement created space, and at the heart of it all was Ronaldinho, playing with freedom, playing with joy. Barcelona had become the finest team in Europe, but one unforgettable night still awaited them. Domestic success had returned, but Barcelona wanted more. Across Europe, the greatest clubs stood in their way. Chelsea, Benfica, AC Milan. Every challenge demanded something extraordinary. Every night, Ronaldinho answered. Only one match remained, 90 minutes, to become champions of Europe once again. The journey had begun on the streets of Porto Alegre. Now it had reached Paris. One final match, one final obstacle. Arsenal Football Club. 90 minutes to become champions of Europe. The football world was watching. Some players dream of this night, only a few leave it as champions. Champions are never defined by easy victories. They are defined by how they respond when everything seems lost. Barcelona fell behind, but they never stopped believing. Neither did Ronaldinho. World champion, champion of Europe, the best player in the world. Ronaldinho had reached football's summit, but his greatest legacy would not be measured by trophies alone. Every generation leaves behind a legacy, not only in trophies, but in the people it inspires. Inside Barcelona's dressing room, a quiet teenager watched everything. His name was Lionel Messi. Ronaldinho didn't see a boy, he saw the future. Some legends inspire the world. The greatest legends inspire the legends who come next. Greatness is often recognized long before the rest of the world can see it. On the 1st of May, 2005, a 17-year-old Lionel Messi stepped onto the pitch. What happened next would become one of football's most unforgettable images, the master lifting the future. One generation was reaching its peak, another had just begun, and Ronaldinho had helped open the door. Some players leave behind records, others leave behind memories. Ronaldinho left behind a philosophy. He reminded the world that football was meant to be played with joy. Children copied his smile, his step-overs, his no-look passes, his fearless imagination. Across every continent, millions fell in love with the beautiful game because of one man. Ronaldinho had become far more than a footballer. He had become football's greatest entertainer. But every fairy tale must eventually face its greatest test. Reaching the top is one challenge. Staying there is another entirely. Ronaldinho had conquered football, the World Cup, the Champions League, the Ballon d'Or. There were no mountains left to climb, but success carries a hidden cost. The spotlight grew brighter, the expectations became heavier, and little by little, the carefree smile that had enchanted the world began to fade. The magician was still brilliant, but the game around him was changing. Even the brightest stars must eventually face the setting sun. Football never stands still. Every generation gives way to the next. At Barcelona, new stars were rising. A fearless teenager named Lionel Messi, and a new philosophy built on relentless intensity and discipline. Ronaldinho remained a genius, but football itself was evolving. The spotlight that had once belonged to him alone was beginning to shine on others. Not because Ronaldinho had failed, but because time never stops moving. Legends are not remembered only for their greatest moments. They are remembered for what they leave behind. For years, football had seemed effortless. Every touch inspired wonder. Every smile lifted a stadium. But even the greatest artists cannot escape time. Small injuries became more frequent. Recovery took longer. Every performance was measured against the impossible standards Ronaldinho himself had created. The critics grew louder. Questions replaced applause. Had the magician lost his magic? Or had the world simply forgotten how extraordinary he had been? The world saw the struggle, but only Ronaldinho knew the battles taking place behind the smile. Every great journey must eventually reach its final chapter. After 5 unforgettable years, the time had come for Ronaldinho to say goodbye. He arrived as the man who restored Barcelona's belief. He departed, having changed the club forever. He gave Camp Nou its smile back. He inspired a generation. He helped shape the future through a young Lionel Messi. And he reminded the world that football could still feel like art. In the summer of 2008, Ronaldinho left Barcelona. But Barcelona would never truly leave Ronaldinho. Some departures are not endings. They are simply the beginning of a new chapter. Sometimes, a change of scenery is exactly what greatness needs. In the summer of 2008, Ronaldinho arrived in Milan. One of football's grandest clubs welcomed one of football's greatest artists. The colors changed, the language changed, the league changed, but the smile remained the same. For Ronaldinho, this was not about replacing Barcelona. It was about proving that the magic still lived within him. Many believe Ronaldinho's greatest days were already behind him. Italy had different plans. At AC Milan, the smile returned. The impossible passes, the effortless first touch, the elasticos, the no-look assists. The football world was reminded that class never disappears. The magician had changed, but the magic still remained. Even as time moved forward, moments of brilliance continued to remind the world why Ronaldinho had once made football feel like magic. Every journey eventually leads home. After dazzling Europe for nearly a decade, Ronaldinho returned to Brazil, not to relive the past, but to create new memories. The boy who had once dreamed on the streets of Porto Alegre came back as a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner, and one of football's most beloved legends. Wherever he went, stadiums filled with smiles. Because for millions of Brazilians, Ronaldinho wasn't just a footballer, he was joy itself. Home had changed, but one thing remained exactly the same. Whenever Ronaldinho touched a football, people smiled. Legends never stopped dreaming, they simply chased new horizons. Back in South America, Ronaldinho discovered one final mountain to climb, the Copa Libertadores. For every Brazilian footballer, it is more than a trophy. It is history, it is pride, it is immortality. With every touch, every pass, and every moment of brilliance, Ronaldinho guided his team toward continental glory once again. The magician still had one last masterpiece to paint. He had conquered Europe, now he had conquered South America once more. The collection was almost complete. Every football match must eventually end. Every career must one day reach its final whistle. For Ronaldinho, the game had given him everything: a World Cup, a Champions League, the Ballon d'Or, league titles across continents, the Copa Libertadores. But the greatest prize could never be measured in trophies. It lived in the smiles he created, the children who fell in love with football because of him, the stadiums that rose to applaud him, the opponents who respected him, the teammates he inspired, and the millions who believed that football could still be beautiful. The final whistle may have ended his career, but it could never end his magic. Some players are remembered for what they won, some for what they achieved. Ronaldinho will always be remembered for how he made the world feel, because when he played, football smiled. History remembers champions, statistics remember records, but hearts remember moments. Ronaldinho gave us moments that no statistic could ever explain. A smile before kickoff, a no-look pass that defied imagination, a standing ovation from rival supporters, a young boy lifted onto his shoulders who would one day become one of football's greatest players. He reminded the world that football is not just about winning. It is about creativity. It is about courage. It is about freedom. It is about joy. Generations will continue to study his skills, imitate his tricks, and smile every time they watch him play. Because legends may retire, but magic never does. Ronaldinho's greatest legacy is not the trophies he lifted. It is the millions of people who fell in love with football because of him. Some footballers changed matches. Some changed clubs. Some changed history. Ronaldinho changed the way the world felt about football. And as long as a child smiles while kicking a ball, his magic will live forever. Long after the stadium lights fade, long after the trophies gather dust, one thing remains. A child picks up a football, a smile appears, a new dream begins, and somewhere the spirit of Ronaldinho lives on. Because football was never just his profession, it was his language, his art, his gift to the world. And every time the impossible becomes possible, the beautiful game smiles once again. This story was never just about one footballer. It was about imagination over fear, joy over pressure, creativity over convention. Ronaldinho reminded us that greatness is not only measured by victories, but by the happiness we leave behind. Every child who dares to try a new trick, every supporter who smiles at a beautiful goal, every dream born on a dusty street or a perfect pitch, carries a small piece of his legacy. Football will continue to evolve. New champions will rise. New records will be broken. But there will only ever be one Ronaldinho, the magician who taught the world that football should always be played with a smile. Football is temporary. Joy is eternal. Thank you, Ronaldinho.